Hi everyone, welcome to Bedtime Storytime with Mrs. Franco. Tonight I'm going to be reading Pete the Cat and the Bedtime Blues. It's by Kimberly and James Dean. Pete is one of my favorite characters because he's such a cool cat. Pete and the gang had a great day. They'd been at the beach, surfing sun and tons of fun. Boy, I wish I was at the beach today. But when the sun went down, they didn't want the fun to end. Pete had an idea. There's his idea. Hey, how about a sleepover? More time for tons of fun? Groovy. Pete's place, let's go. The party was far out, but they knew they couldn't stay up all night. The gang decided it was time to say good night. All parties must come to an end. On went the pajamas and out went the light. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. They're all in their sleeping bags, ready for bed. Just like you. Pete was just about to catch some Z's when clap, clap, clap. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Grumpy Toad. I don't want to go to bed. I want to clap instead. Pete covered his head. Poor Pete. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Time to sleep. Oh, look at the little bird even has a sleeping bag. Pete tried again to catch some Z's when rat-a-tat-tat. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Gus the Platypus. I don't want to go to bed. I want to jam instead. Pete covered his head. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Time to sleep. Good night, Gus. Good night, alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Pete closed his eyes to catch some Z's when he heard, uh-oh, who's it going to be now? Munch, munch, munch. Pete had a hunch. It was alligator. He was always up for eating. What could Pete do? Finishing off that last slice of pizza. All the clapping, rat-a-tat-tatting, and munching was giving him the bedtime blues. Pete had a groovy idea. What will his groovy idea be? He got out his favorite bedtime story and started to read, first to himself and then to the gang. Just like we're doing right now. Look, he's reading a Pete the Cat story. Pete noticed it was finally quiet. No more clapping, no more rat-a-tat-tatting, and no more munching. I think it's time to close the book and go to sleep. They all settled down. No one made a sound. Pete yawned and turned off the light. Good night. Sleep tight. Time to catch some Z's. They're all asleep. Uh-oh, do you see someone who's awake? I think it's Pete and the bird. Tomorrow was another day for surfing, sun, and tons of fun. The end. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a good night. Good night, everyone.